The Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez, where we talk everything real estate. Today, my guest is Brian Gunn of KW and the Brian Gunn Group.
Yes.
So, Brian, welcome to the show. And I always start off the show by asking, how did you get started in real estate?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me. We've been doing a lot of business, because I'm usually on the listing side.
Right.
When I see your name come through, I'm like, all right, we're getting a settlement. Thanks for having me. So when I got into business, it was a good family friend that really pushed me to get into business. I was in the bar restaurant business pretty much my whole life during college, and I really didn't want to do anything else because I was making so much money bartending and just living that life. But everyone's like, you need that career after you graduate college. And you're like,
Right.
So I didn't really know what I bounced around the different jobs, and everyone's like, real estate. And I really didn't want to get into a commission world. So I ended up getting in, and I jumped in full force, and I started really doing real well at it, and that just expanded to like getting rid of the bar registry and then really creating this as a business.
Okay, and in how many years you've been a realtor?
So we're going on 15 years now. So I got my license around 2009, beginning of 2010. We're about 15 years in now.
Okay, and you started in 2009, so that was right after the real estate crisis. So that was really tough times. There was 4 million, houses for sale. You had to, hey, I'm giving away a car. Please come look at my house. Please buy. That kind of thing. So, what was that like for you?
So that was a really good market to learn, because there's a lot of people leaving, just like this market, and you had to really work hard, and it's just that grit and that grind. So I found a lot of people because people were renting because the job market was just so bad. People were losing their job. They were getting decrease in pay. So the market was just nobody was thinking about buying. So I did a lot of rentals, and then unfortunate people, I started really digging into the short sales and finding investors and doing foreclosures, because that was really the only market out there. The resale, there was none, and
Right.
Nobody was selling, nobody was buying. So it was as much as I was making a ton of money, but I learned a lot. Yeah.
Okay, great. Now you have a team. So what does your team look like?
So my team changes pretty much every year. We're trying to find that right fit, that right talent. So when I originally started a team back in 2015, I wanted like a 50-person team and billions of dollars. And as I grew in this business, got older, kids and all, and I said, it's not what I want. I'm not a big numbers guy, and I have to have this many sales, and I just want to help people. So with me helping people, I said, God, let's grow like a family. So right now I have my director of operations, Melanie. Melanie runs the whole entire company. She's the best of the best. Then I have Stephanie, who's doing our director of marketing. And then we have an administrative assistant that's doing all our files and transactions, kind of Melanie's assistant. Then I have George, who is running our Jersey team. So he's over there and he's doing all the Jersey stuff. I have all my stuff done on Jersey, but I just don't know the area as well. So I never want to be a disservice to my clients. So George knows the area, lives there, and he's just kicking butt. And then on this side, I have Liz and Jen. Jen just brought on, and they're helping me with a lot of buyers in the Pennsylvania side.
Okay, perfect. Now you said Pennsylvania. So what is your area? What's your, territory that you primarily work in?
So up until about 5 years ago, most of my business was Northeast Philadelphia, moving to Bucks County. So a big wave in Northeast when I first got started moved to Ben Salem. So that's where my first office was, and I knew that's where they were going. So I might as well stick an office there.
Right.
And then as the years went, I still have a big Bucks presence. In Northeast, we still have a lot of market share, but we've really been focused on Montgomery County. So my wife forced me to move over there about 3 years ago, and it's just like family friendly. The taxes are low. I mean, the competition isn't as much as Bucks is, and just a ton of family friendly stuff, amazing schools, and the prices are not as crazy. So we've really been putting a lot of our eggs in the Montgomery County now.
And it's the area that you know because you live there.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so now one more question and then we'll jump subjects. Who do you primarily work with? Are you doing buyers and sellers? more sellers, more buyers? What does that look like?
So now that we've kind of changed the team a little bit, for a couple of years I was doing listings only. So I'm a major listing specialist. But as we kind of change the team a little bit, you do miss out on those buyers, and I really do love helping buyers. And I feel like you get a better pulse of the market when you're representing buyers. So right now I'm probably 70-30 that I'm doing listings and then buyers, and then most of my team members are morely probably 70 buyers, 30% listings.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's jump topics real quick. NAR lawsuit, settlement, proposed settlement, because nothing's 100% official yet. But my question for you is not so much getting into the lawsuit itself. How has your conversations changed with buyers and sellers, or have they changed at all?
So they really haven't changed much. So people have questions, which I love, because now more people are talking about real estate, which we always want, and I love talking real estate. So it's a topic that's all over the news. That's the only thing that sucks. The news has it all wrong. The settlement isn't even until July, so we don't really know what changes, but the proposed changes are nothing that Pennsylvania has. So, I mean, this has been tried for years, and people tried to, I'm not going to do this, pay this, for sale by owners, I don't want to pay an agent. It's been tried, it never worked. Like, if you do the way you're supposed to, you're going to net the most, and that's all that we care about at the end of the day. Every sellers have certain wants and needs, but everyone wants to net the most. It's just, just how the world works. And you're going to net the most, and we have statistics and data to show if you don't want to pay that agent as much as what they deserve, then you're not going to get the offers. You're not going to get the amount of buyers in your house. You could put it up and get an offer. That's not our goal. We want 10, 12 offers. You know what I mean?
To get the highest number.
To get the highest number and the best terms and whatever that seller is looking for. Every seller has different needs. So that's not really changing much. I mean, people are asking about it, but like we had a conversation last week, and you're still getting 6%, and that seller is going to net the most amount of money. And then now they're going to do with the buyer agency, which Pennsylvania has always done. I've always done it the last 15 years, and I sit down with buyers and say, my compensation is 3%, but you're hiring me for my negotiation skills, and I am negotiating that into the deal, so it's not coming out of pocket.
Right.
And that's not changing either, but a lot of people are like, oh my God, you have to sign it. Well, you've always had to sign it. And if you go see a house with an agent and you're not represented, that's illegal.
Right.
And I don't like to break any laws. So I said, I just can't show you a house unless you're being fully represented. And when you're fully represented, you're getting more than what just a market is. Like you're getting my full team, you're getting the availability, you're getting off the market deals, we're hunting for you.
Right.
The really conversation hasn't changed much. Because I don't think Pennsylvania has the strictest laws out there as it is, so I don't think there's nothing really going to change on our end.
Right. Now, there was a survey done by 1000 Watt, and 1000 Watt said the number one thing buyers are looking for out of an agent is adverse to risk. Not finding the house, adverse to risk, making sure that I'm not buying a house that's a money pit, or I'm not overpaying, those kind of things. And we know that depending on the time of the year, 30% of all homes have price reductions. So if I'm a buyer, how do I know if I'm buying that house before price reduction or not? And that's where you're coming in, saying it's the expertise of saying, hey, I'm there to represent you, and I'm going to avoid the pitfalls for you, right? And that's the value. Sure, I'm going to help you find a house, but that's only maybe 5 or 10% of what my job.
And my job doesn't end after closing.
Right.
And so we always follow up and say, oh my God, I bought this house and wasn't able to do inspection, and this broke. All right, great. I'm going to have my guy come over, and he's really going to help you out and give you a discount. But it's not just getting you the house. There's a million things to do before that, and we've experienced it. I have 3 clients now that we just sold their properties we're dealing with now, and those 3 clients are losing over $1 million. They bought a property unrepresented and just figured out they could do whatever. And even the contractors, they know the house, but they don't know the townships. And that's what we know everybody, because we've been doing this so long. We have the expertise, we have the knowledge. So that's really what it's changing the game. Because when you're buying a house, like it said, hey, I know because after my experience, like I know what this stuff is, and this is what you should be concerned about. This is but I know the property when it comes up. I know the agent, I know the neighbors. So that's going to really get us that inside information that when you go buy this property, you do feel very secure with this investment.
Right. And you mentioned somebody bought a home and they needed septic work.
Yeah.
And that's costing maybe $50,000 or, and that's something that they didn't know and they weren't working with an agent. So now all of a sudden, hey, I'm saving $10,000, $15,000 in commission, but now it's costing me $50,000, right?
And as a buyer, you're not paying the commission. So use me as my expertise, and I will guide you. I know people think that this is like the times are so bad. Well, we have more inventory than we did last year, and the prices are high, interest rates high, but we can still get deals done.
Right.
So yeah, that's the biggest thing, is that this misconception that we're just sending you the agreement real quick. Well, there's a million things that goes on, but all that behind the scenes stuff is really to protect the buyer and the seller.
Okay, and then I saw a Facebook video that you talked about experience, knowledge is super important for an agent. Did that come about just from a couple of these clients that didn't have an agent and ended up costing them a ton of money?
No, so it has a little bit to do with it, but mostly because, like I said, I do mostly listings, and I've seen so many buyers that come through with these offers, and they're unbelievable buyers, and I know 1,000,000,000% that they will never be a homeowner with that specific agent. Just the presentation was sloppy, everything was incorrect, and they're sending you 50 different emails, and do you really care about your client?
Right.
And it's $500 to get your license. So everybody in the world has a license, and after that $500, you think that now you can manage someone's $500,000 asset, and it's just not true. There's a lot of things that go on with it, but there's deals, like I had a deal last night, buyer really wanted this house. I said, no, it's a terrible investment, and I don't recommend it. And you could do whatever you want to do, but I'm here as your expert to tell you this is a bad purchase. And then they called me this morning and said, well, you're right. Right. We thought of it. But yeah, it's not about the sale. It's not about the commission. It's about helping the people. And it's right now, just like every business. Roofers, contractors, loan officers.
Right.
80% of them have no knowledge. They have no idea what they're doing, and that's what gives all us a bad reputation.
Right.
Because right now they said the statistic. There's only 18% of us that really do the business.
Right. Exactly. And that's like the 80-20 rule in any business. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Then I saw on Facebook you had a picture of letters you took and you're sending out. So what was that all about?
So a lot of buyers come to us, and then we sit down and go over the whole goal plan. And then a lot of people, we try to figure out where do you really want to be? What's your goal? What are you trying to look for? And obviously the first thing everyone always does is set them up on the portal and MLS. Well, it's not good enough now. We have to go out there and hunt and see who, who maybe someone passed away or divorced, or somebody that's thinking about selling but is just scared.
Right.
So there are a lot of the letters that we're sending out just saying hey, I have a really good buyer. Here's their information, here's their pre-approval, and I don't put everything in there,
right,
but enough to say hey, we're not playing around. It's not just a spam junk mail.
Right.
I have a really solid buyer that's going to pay you way over market value and give you the best terms if you are thinking of selling. And you give me a quick call so we can have that conversation.
Right. So not only are you're going outside of the traditional. So if somebody turns around and says, hey, I can just go on Zillow and find a house. Yeah, you may be able to do that, but you're also expanding, pocket listings, maybe not a pocket listing, but you know what I'm saying. Just going out there, searching, circle processing, prospecting to find maybe sellers that may not be there and that may not be seen.
Yeah, because if you're seeing on Zillow, so is everybody.
Right.
And so that there's a good chance that you're overpaying for that house, and we want to try to figure out what else can we find you. So it doesn't just stop as hey, here's a portal. I'm out there calling other agents. I'm calling neighbors and sellers, and trying to find out who is thinking of selling, who's doing some business right now. How can we connect to each other?
Okay, perfect. And that's your job is connecting buyers and sellers.
Mm-hmm.
Period. And you're not just putting a yard sign up and that's it. You're taking that extra step.
Definitely. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so interest rates we had from 2022. Interest rates doubled, pretty much from 3%, on up to 7%. What are you seeing now in the market now that interest rates? Heck, just in the beginning of the year, interest rates are in the sixes. Now we're in the sevens. What are your buyers, sellers? What are they telling you? What do you see?
So right now we're not seeing any difference between the 6 and the 7. The biggest change was that 2022 when they were 3%, 4%, 5%, 6%, 7, all within 3.5 months, and it kind of crippled the market. Because if you were looking at a $400,000 sale price at a 3%, well, went up to 4, and then you're 360, and then went to 5, and you're 320, and then time it got to 7, and you're like 250, and that buyer's saying, I'm going to find a house at 400. I'm going to go. I'm going to go rent.
Right.
So that really had a lot of change. But this one, between 6 and 7, the buyers understand because the buyers that are in this market are motivated. Mm-hmm. And the motivation isn't going to deter anything with an interest rate. You're either moving for a specific reason. It's like there's certain areas that might not be as good anymore. The crime rate went up. You might be experiencing parking difficulties. So you want your own car garage. You might need a bigger yard. You want a better school district. Those things that are going to change your family's life, the difference of interest rate, you're not thinking about it. And the conversation we just had is saying like, you have to buy now. If you're thinking about it, you cannot wait because that house is going to cost you double next year. We just don't have the inventory. We haven't had inventory since 2008. So for us to really grab that inventory for the amount of buyers, we're not going to see that for years to come. So the prices are going to keep going up, and with the inflation keep going up, if you buy now, you're locked in. Right. I mean, if you go into that rental, it's going to go up next year. It's going to keep going up. But at least if you know you can afford this payment now, we know within a year or two, and these experts are saying at 5% or whatever, we know that we're just going to refinance you. You're not back out into the world of bidding and find this house. You're already in your dream house.
Right.
You know what I mean? And now you're just going to save yourself hundreds of dollars, and then you're going to be ahead of the game.
Right. And then the NAR statistic said for every 1% interest rate change, 5 million more people can get into the market or out. So if the rates go up, they're getting out. They go down, more people are in. So what you're saying is, hey, if I buy today with interest rates higher, there may be a little bit more inventory. I may be able to do some inspections, that kind of thing. But if interest rates drop, now you're just going to have that competition of so many more buyers, elevated prices, no home inspections, those kind of things that, we were experiencing, 2021.
Yeah. So that market I love because it kind of slowed down a little bit. But yeah, I remember we were just at a closing and you told me that. I'm like, that's a big number.
Yeah, it's a huge number. Yeah. Well, that's nationwide. It's not for Pennsylvania.
But still, even if a portion of those buyers are here and you think it's hard now, wait till then when you have 1,000 more buyers for that one house. So yeah, that's what there's only two numbers in real estate. What are we bringing to the table and how much is our monthly payment? So if those two numbers are aligned, then you can play with that, move them up, move them down. And in this market, I'm telling people bring a little less to the table. You have a higher monthly, but we know we're going to flip flop that. Right. And we're going to get you to the interest rate that you want when these rates come back down. And with the prices going up, that you could absorb your 20% down to get rid of the PMI.
Right.
So at the end of the day, you have to do it now.
Okay. Yeah. And sellers. The sellers are in a great position because values have gone up so much, right? Mm-hmm. So, yep. But is there any apprehension with sellers?
Yes. So a lot of sellers, they're listening to the media, and they don't have the expertise and knowledge because they know I owe $200,000 left on my house and a 3% interest rate, and I'm going to start all over. But they're not understanding because most of my market that I came up in, my sellers were bringing checks to the table. The market just wasn't there. And then for a good amount of years, they were breaking even, which was phenomenal. Right. Now, when you sell your house, you're walking away with $500,000. And you didn't do anything to your house in the last 3 years. You just gained equity. Right. So now is the best opportunity that you could go wherever you want. Because you're like, where would I go? This is a great time to go wherever. You're empty nesters. Pick up and go to the Carolinas or Florida or wherever that place that you always dreamed of. Now is the best opportunity because you didn't have that opportunity years ago. Right, because you have a ton of money to put down on that next home. Yeah, because a lot of my Northeast, we were selling them for $100,000, but they were worth 80 and they owed 120. Well, they're I have to move for some reason, whether a job or whatever the situation may be. And they're like, well, you have to bring 30,000 to the table. Like, all right, I guess we have to do it. Now I'm saying, well, now you're walking away with $500,000 and you don't know where to go.
Right.
Those people who brought money to the table have figured out where they had to go.
Right.
You know what I mean? Okay. So it's just a conversation. That's why I love having real estate conversations, because I'm bringing that knowledge that you might not have had as a buyer or seller, especially the older people. Like the older people been in their home for so long. They're like, whoa, I got to start all over with a 30-year mortgage. And no, that's not the case. And we've been really exploring a lot of these 55 plus and the independent livings. If I didn't have kids, I'd live in them tomorrow.
Right.
Happy hour, golf simulators, trips. I mean, and they're really reasonable.
Right.
And there's a lot of statistics and studies out there now that says like it's a change of life.
Right.
I mean, you have more energy, you're feeling better, you're healthy, you're meeting people like common age. So they're great places to really explore.
Right. Perfect. Okay, so if somebody wants to get a hold of you, buyers, sellers, even an agent, maybe wanted to explore your team, how do they do that?
So, I mean, we're all over the social media. You can go on any Facebook or anything like that. My cell phone is 215-292-3886, and my email is briangunn@briangunngroup.com.
Okay, well, thanks for being on the show. Really good information. And that's the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez. Be sure to follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe. I have great guests like Brian Gunn coming on, sharing 15 years worth of knowledge. Also, leave a comment. Tell me things that you like, you don't like, or topics you want me to cover in the future. Remember, this show is everything real estate, no limits. Hope you enjoyed the show, and